Okay, chapter 2-1 is integers and absolute values. And so make sure at home you're taking notes in your 3-ring binder. Make sure you're labeling each day. Today is 2-1. And then here in a second, I'll scroll back up if you're not sure how to spell integers and absolute values. Go ahead and put this in your notes as well, this little graphic. All right, we are all very familiar with a number line. Okay, typically 0 there is right smack dab in the middle. Everything to the left of 0, and it's kind of here in red if you can see it. Everything to the left of 0 is where you start your negatives. So you think about if you dig a hole, right? You start ground level and you dig a hole, you get negative 1 foot deep, 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep. You get deeper and deeper and deeper into the number line. So you'll notice right next to 0 is -1. And as you move left, your numbers increase, but they increase in a negative manner. So you go deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay. Then on the right side of the 0, okay, you have your positive numbers, which just go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like we normally count. Okay. And right smack dab in the middle, like I said, right smack dab in the middle is your 0. Okay. That's always kind of your neutral position, not negative, not positive, right in the middle. Okay. And I think you guys will be fine with that, with your number line. I think you're pretty familiar with that. All right, everybody have that down in their notes. Positive and integers, right? You see it a lot. Integers, I say it's a fancy name for numbers. It's a fancy name for whole numbers. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are integers. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are integers. Okay. All right. So if we go back up here, I'm going to scroll up to the top for those of you at home. If you need to know how to spell integers and absolute value to label your notes, there it is. All right. So the first part of your homework, and you don't have to write these sentences out. Okay. But I just want you to, I think this part will be pretty straightforward. You don't have to take the time to write these down if you don't want to. We're going to take a sentence and we're going to decide if it reflects or represents a positive number or integer or a negative integer. Okay. So an elevator ascends 4 floors. Anybody know what ascend means? Bella? Yeah, it goes up. So if something is going up, it's going in the positive direction. You can write it one of 2 ways. You can either write it as +4, or in the math world, do we usually use the plus sign? It's kind of silent, right? Or you can write it as just 4. Either one of those is fine. Okay. They mean the same thing. In the math world, there's a lot of things that we don't write, like a 1 in front of a variable, right? It's there, but it's not there. A plus sign, if it's not there, it's there. So I'm going to skip number 2 for a second because I want to come back to it. So 11 below 0. Cam? Yeah. Because it's below 0, it's a negative temperature. You would write it as -11. Okay. How about a profit of $52? Lakin? On which one?
Well, I was wondering, is negative and negative, is 0 a negative or a positive?
It's neither. It's just this neutral. It's not either. It's not negative. It's not positive. It's its own little thing right in the middle. Okay, so it's not negative or positive. That's a good start. That's a good question. Yes, you had a question? You had an answer? Okay, go for it. What is a profit of $52? Yeah, a profit means you gain money, right? So you could write that as either plus 52, or you can just write it as 52. Now, pardon? No. Because this is just, you just want, and we're going to go back here in a second. We're going to graph each one of these. It just wants you to write an integer. So you just need to write the number. Lakin? Always up here. Yes. Jalen? Jaden, no, not Jalen. Yeah, Jaden. Sorry, I was so close. Huh? Okay. All right. What is 2? Okay, so instead of none, what's the integer? 0. To be par, if you got to know golf to know this, right? But to be par means you're not good, you're not bad, right? If the course is a par 3 and you get it in 3, you don't score anything. It's just a 0, right? It's not a negative, it's not a positive. All right. So to be par is 0. not positive, not negative. Okay. Now, it also says, you'll notice on your homework, it says this too. It says graph on a number line. We're not going to graph all of these because I think graphing on a number line is a pretty much a review for you. But if you're not given a number line, just draw you a little number line. Okay, put 0 there. And then if we want to graph positive 4, we want to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And we want to put a closed circle at 4. And we want to make sure number 4 underneath that circle. If we want to graph 0, that one's super easy, right? Our number line keeps going and going forever to the left and to the right. 0 is just simply a closed circle at 0. And I want to show you if you're graphing negative, especially 52. All right, if I want you to draw a number line, and we need it positive, so I'm going to put 0 shaded over a little bit. Do I want you to put 52 slashes on this number line? I do not. If you know you got to go up to 52, count by tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, label that 50. And then you're just going to go slightly past 50 to be your 52. So you can do your number line how it makes sense. Please don't put 52 slashes on a number line and take that much time, okay? All right, so now we're going to think about on a number line, and I'm just going to draw a generic number line. So on your notes, I would like for you to just draw yourself kind of a base number line. We're not going to get too detailed here. I want you to draw yourself a base number line, and we'll do 10, 20, 30. So we'll make that 10, 20, 30. You could go by 5s, 10s. Then we're going to go -10, -20, and -30 because we're not actually going to graph on this. I just want to have it to kind of look at. Okay. So it says replace each little shaded circle with either a less than, a greater than, or an equal sign. So you have to decide. Okay. And we always read math left to right. Is 0 less than, greater than, or equal to -5? Briley, what do you think? Yeah, if you look on your number line, right here in the middle, I'll make that red here. Right here is 0. That's kind of your center point. And then -5 is this way on the number line. It's behind, it's to the left of 0, or it's less than 0. Well, when you want to do the less than sign, if 0 is the small, or sorry, a greater than sign, if 0 is bigger than -5, you're going to put the bigger part of the inequality sign facing the 0. So whichever number is bigger gets the bigger side of the inequality sign. Okay, because if some people have a hard time remembering which one is a greater than or less than, just remember biggest number gets the biggest part of the sign. So for number 10, somebody that hasn't answered yet, which is bigger, 10 or -10? Somebody that hasn't answered yet. I'm gonna start randomly calling on people if somebody doesn't volunteer. Gage. 10 and -10. If you didn't, I'd probably make it bigger for you. There you go. 10 and -10. Thinking about yeah, 10 is greater than, so our open part of our inequality goes toward the 10. Okay, and then how about number 9 here? How about -18 and -18? Logan? Huh? Yeah, they're equal. Same number. Same sign, same number. They're equal. And then this one right here is the one I want to do next because these tend to trip people up a little bit. You've got -20 and -95, and you want to know which number is bigger or greater. Lakin? Yeah, it's kind of weird because 120 is a bigger number, but when you're talking negatives, that means 120 is deeper in the hole. So it is further to the left on the number line, which means it is the smaller of the two numbers. Okay, it's the deeper of the two. Pretty good with that? All right, now we're going to jump to the absolute value portion of our notes. And so again, I'm going to scroll down here and let you take just a second to draw this little graphic. Just give you a quick number line. You don't have to go to 6, you can go to 3, whatever, it doesn't matter. I just want you to go positive and negative in your notes, the same direction on both sides of the 0 for a second. like I said, you don't have to go all the way to 6 if you just want to go to 3 or 4 or whatever. Just I want you to go the same direction on both sides of the 0. And I'd like for you to put in your notes that absolute value means distance from 0. Absolute value, write it down in your notes if you haven't already. Absolute value is distance from 0. It's about as concise as I can make that definition. All right, so what does that mean? Well, they kind of color coded it, which you know I like because I like to color code everything. You'll notice on this number line in blue, you've got 6 units to the right of 0, which is positive 6. I'm just kind of writing it bigger. So 6 spots, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots, but those are all positive moves, gives you a 6. But you'll also notice if you go 6 spots in the other direction or to the negative, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we went backwards, we also hit 6. Absolute value doesn't care about signs. Absolute value just wants to know how many hops or how many spaces away from 0 is that number. So if I asked you the absolute value of 6, you would tell me it's 6, right? Because it's 6 spots away from 0. But the absolute value, like right here, the absolute value of negative 6 is also 6, because all it wants to know is how many spots is it away from 0. Positive and negative doesn't matter. Just how many jumps does it take to get away from 0? So the absolute value of 6 and the absolute value of negative 6, or in your notes, if you did 3 and negative 3, okay, the absolute value is always the number inside the absolute value sign without any positive or negative. It's just simply the number of steps, okay? Make sense? So we'll only do a couple of these because I think that this is pretty straightforward here. And then we'll get into some of the evaluate. So this says evaluate. Cam? Oh, hang on. You've already answered one. I want to try to spread it around. I want to make everybody talk. So if I'm looking at number 17 and I want to know the absolute value of negative 7, somebody that hasn't answered yet. Trevor, what do you think? What's the absolute value of negative 17? Or I mean of negative 7? 7. It's just simply 7 spots from 0. Okay, we're not even going to write this one out. Just everybody tell me, what's the absolute value of 14? 14. Absolute value of negative 11? 11. Okay, no sign, you just drop it. It's that many spots away from 0. All right, so now they want us to start evaluating these, and I will show you exactly how to do these in your homework so that you do not make a mistake. I'm going to rewrite this by dropping the absolute value, which means I drop any signs. So I'm going to rewrite this right underneath it. 9 minus 6. Now, does it seem like an extremely easy problem? Somebody that hasn't talked yet, what's 9 minus 6? Aiden, what's 9 minus 6? I'm throwing you the hard one, and you got it. Good job. Just kidding. 3. So you're going to rewrite it underneath the problem. I want you to rewrite it without the absolute value signs. When you do that, it's going to clear it up a whole lot. Okay. All right. Again, now this sign right here in the middle, I'm going to leave it alone. All right. It's going to stay a minus. I'm not going to do anything with it. All I'm going to do is rewrite both the absolute values on each side. So I'm going to rewrite this one as just a plain old 18. And this is a plain old 8. I'm going to leave that minus sign right in the middle, just like it was. Josiah, what's 18 minus 8?
18 minus 8.
Yeah.
18 minus 8. There goes, that's the negative.
Well, no, we've dropped this. Remember when we drop the negative sign right here, when we drop the absolute value, we drop the negative sign. So that's why I rewrote it underneath it. So now you don't have to pay attention to this. Now it's just, yeah. And that's why I said that right there is why it's so important to rewrite it. If you don't rewrite it and drop all of the signs, you start trying to think, is it a minus, and then you let it get cloudy in your mind. So that's why with every single one of these, I want you to take the time, if this takes a second, to rewrite it underneath, okay? Let's see, how about this one? First, we're gonna rewrite it, which means we're gonna rewrite the absolute value of negative 12 as just simply 12, and then 12 plus 1. Let's see, who haven't I heard from? Yep, I've heard from Jackson. Yes, Zoe? 13. See how these become way easier when you drop the signs, okay? Rewrite them, take the minute to drop the signs. The one right underneath that, I'm gonna drop the negative from the 16 and rewrite it. I'm gonna keep the sign in the middle. I'm gonna drop the negative from 22 and just simply have 16 plus 22, which is anybody? Yes. Yep, 38. Yep. Good. All right, I want to show you one more kind like this because it's a little bit different. Before I can drop the absolute value signs, I need to get it down to one single number. So still keeping the absolute value sign, I'm going to simplify inside the absolute value sign. 8 minus 4 is 4. Now I'm going to write this as 4 because I dropped the absolute value sign, drop any signs, and it stays a positive 4. So if you have, it's kind of thinking about PEMDAS, right? Those absolute value signs sort of serve as parentheses, which means you do them first. So they are kind of a form of parentheses when you're thinking about order of operation. So we are going to work within the parentheses first, then we're going to evaluate the absolute value. Okay, so I want to do one like, where's it at? This one right here. We're going to do number 9. Now notice it says algebra, and we've got variables now, but we want to still evaluate. When you see evaluate, always think solve, but they give us A is -3, B is 0, and C is 1. So first thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do this one right here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to replace all of the variables with numbers. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So I'm going to leave everything like it was, 5 minus the absolute value of A times C. That's what this means right here, A times C. Well, A is -3, so -3 times C, which is a 1. And then I'm going to keep my absolute value sign. Right, that step right there, all I'm doing is plugging in the values for A, B, and C. Now, PEMDAS says I need to work inside my absolute value first. So I'm going to leave this 5 minus alone right now. And I want -3 times 1. So inside my absolute value, I'm just reducing this. What's -3 times 1? Rayleigh, what's -3 times 1? -3. Now it kind of looks like the ones up in the upper section. So my first step is always to rewrite this, right? 5 minus. Now I'm dropping the absolute value signs, but that means I'm also dropping the sign inside. So it just is 3. And 5 minus 3, Jayla, is what? 2. So for the ones that say algebra on your homework, first you had, if you're a steps person, if you want to put these steps, you totally can. You don't have to. Step 1 is to plug in values. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is to reduce inside, if you have to, inside the absolute value signs. Step 3 is to rewrite. And I'm going to put W/O, that's without. Okay, then you're going to rewrite it without the absolute value signs. And then finally, you're going to solve. Okay, so if you're a list person, this is your list of the 4 steps. Now, this list obviously is for this algebra part right here, where you've got variables. If you don't have variables, you can skip step 1. So in the section above that, you can skip step 1. Okay. Let's do one more like that. You don't, if you feel like you have enough in your notes, that's fine. I just want to work another one with you. So I've got inside the absolute value, I've got A and B. So I'm going to find A, which is -3, and B, which is 0. So -3 times 0. And then I'm going to hit +1 because it says plus C or +1. I'm going to evaluate inside the absolute value signs first. -3 times 0 is 0 plus 1. Well, we know the absolute value of 0 is just 0. So 0 plus 1. So your final answer is a 1. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave these up here. Of all your homework, that's probably the hardest portion of it. And thankfully, and this right here is a good example of why I love the new schedule flip, because you guys have about 18 minutes to work on your homework, which should be enough time to get your homework, if not 100% done, probably with just 1 or 2 left to do. Yes.
Does that say solve or so?
Solve, SOLVE. I know my handwriting, it gets a little rough on this iPad because I have to hover my hand. I can't rest it. And so sometimes my writing gets a little rough. Yes, SOLVE, solve. No, I ask anytime because my handwriting can be bad. All right, for those of you at home, you are only doing the odd problems on this. Make sure and take notes in your 3-ring binder and then click load at the bottom of the assignment and it'll come up in Kami. Make sure to show all your work. And by that, I mean everything I did in the notes. Okay, that's what it means to show all of your work. And then submit it in Kami and email me if you have any questions.